In this video, we'll be talking about the parietal lobe, which is most well known for its integral role in processing sensory information such as touch, temperature, pain, sight, hearing, and smell. It is located near the top and back part of the brain, sitting behind the frontal lobe, above the temporal lobe, and in front of the occipital lobe, and spans both brain hemispheres. Separating the parietal lobe from the frontal lobe is the central sulcus, which is circled here in green. Then separating it from the temporal lobe is the lateral sulcus, which is circled here in purple. Then we also have the parieto-occipital sulcus separating it from the occipital lobe, which is circled here in red. The two most important regions in the parietal lobe are the primary somatosensory cortex and the posterior parietal cortex. So let's dive into each of these to understand what they do a little bit better. Starting with the primary somatosensory cortex, it is located just behind the central sulcus at the front part of the parietal lobe. It is the most important brain region for processing bodily sensations such as touch, temperature, pain, and even something called proprioception, which is having an awareness of where your body parts are in space without needing to observe them. The primary somatosensory cortex is also somatotopically organized, which means specific regions of the cortex map to specific body regions. So, for example, there is a location in the cortex that handles sensations of the hand. Then there can be a different location that handles sensations of your leg. You may think that the amount of brain area devoted to each body region would depend on the size of the body region, but instead it is based on the density of nerves within a region of the body. So the hands and lips may be small in size compared to the legs, but they take up much more area in the primary somatosensory cortex because they contain many more nerve endings to handle their complex sensory abilities. Damage to the primary somatosensory cortex can result in numerous symptoms, such as numbness or loss of sensation of a body region, as well as things like poor coordination and even chronic pain. The other important region within the parietal lobe is called the posterior parietal cortex. It is located just behind the primary somatosensory cortex that we just talked about, at the rear of the parietal lobe. This brain region is responsible for utilizing sensory information to guide both movement and attention. So it plays roles in things like spatial awareness, which is having an understanding of where your body is in space, as well as coordinating eye and hand movements when touching something, and something like helping to direct your focus towards what matters while filtering out what doesn't. Damage to the posterior parietal cortex can lead to something called hemispatial neglect, which is an odd condition where an individual either lacks the ability to perceive or provide attention to stimuli on one side of the space around them. So for example, you can imagine getting a plate of food and they will only eat the food on the right side of the plate. Or they may fail to properly take care of themselves by only shaving one half of their face. Or even do something like only drawing one half of an image when asked to draw the whole thing. Yet in spite of how obviously wrong this is to somebody observing them, the individual, when asked, would say they completed any of the tasks without any issues. And that's about all you need to know about the basics of the parietal lobe. If you found this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos related to neuroscience.